Hello my strangelings and welcome to tonight's video. We're going to continue on with the Annabelle case. I'm just going to read a little bit from the last paragraph that I already read in last week's video, but I'm going to reread it again so that way it doesn't seem totally random to pick up from where I left off at in last week's video. But anyways, was there a reason why you specifically called on Father Kevin's? Lorraine questioned. Yes, we trusted him, said Deidre. He teaches nearby here at the junior college. Plus, Laura and I both know him. What did you tell the priest? The whole story about Annabelle and how it moved on its own, and especially about Cal's cuts, Deidre replied. At first, we were afraid he might not believe us, but that was no problem. He believed us all right. Although, she finished, he said he'd never heard of such a thing happening these days. At the time, we were all scared, out of our wits, and I asked him what he thought had happened to us. What did he tell you? Ed asked her. He said he didn't want to speculate, replied Deidre, but he did seem to feel it was a spiritual matter, possibly an important one, and said he was going to contact someone higher up in the church, a Father Everett. That's what he did, Ed told her. Laura then asked the Warrens concernedly, what do you think did that to Cal's chest? Let's discuss that in a minute, Ed answered. First, to finish up, let me ask you a few questions. Has this kind of thing ever happened to you before? To any of you? No, they told the Warrens. Did the name Annabelle or Annabelle Higgins mean anything to you in real life before this incident occurred? No, they answered again. Although you never saw anything spirit-wise in here, Cal said he felt a presence in the room before he got hurt. There is something in here, Laura stated firmly. In fact, I can't even stand to be here. We decided to get a new apartment. We're moving out. I'm afraid that's not going to help you very much, Ed said dryly. What do you mean? Deidre asked, astonished. To put it in a nutshell, folks, you inadvertently brought a spirit into this apartment and into your lives. You're not going to be able to walk away from it that easily. Ed's statement was understandably troubling. Prudently, he and Lorraine remained silent and allowed the three young people to collect their thoughts. After a long time, Ed spoke again. We are going to be able to help you beginning right now. Today, the first thing I'd like you to do is to call Father Everett and have him come over here. Then you're going to have to understand what has happened and why Cal got that ugly claw mark on his chest. May I use the phone? Ed had no trouble getting a hold of the Episcopal priest who had been waiting for him to telephone. Lorraine, in the meantime, walked into the living room to discern the spirit present that was in the apartment. After the phone call, the Warrens both returned to the kitchen with the others. All right, Ed said matter-of-factly. When Father Everett comes here, he's going to have to perform a sort of blessing and exorcism of the premise. I knew it, Cal proclaimed. I knew it would lead to this. Yes, I think you did, Ed told him. But I'm not sure any of you know the reason why. To begin with, there is no Annabelle. There never was. You were duped. However, we are dealing with a spirit here. The teleportation of the doll while you were out of the apartment, the appearance of notes written on parchment, the manifestation of three symbolic drops of blood, plus the gesture of the doll made are all meaningful. They tell me there was intent, which means there was an intelligence behind the activity. But ghosts, human spirits, plain and simple, can't bring on phenomena of this nature and intensity. They do not have the power. Instead, what's taken over here is something inhumane. Inhuman, inhuman, Cal asked, perplexed. Demonic, Ad told him immediately. Ordinarily, people are never bothered by inhumane demonic spirits unless they do something to bring the force into their lives. And I regret to say, you girls did something to bring the demonic into your lives. Like what? Deidre urgently wanted to know. Well, for the most part, you made honest mistakes. But in this case, you made the wrong mistakes, Ed replied. Your first mistake was to have given the doll so much recognition. You see, the reason why the spirits moved the doll in the first place was to draw attention to itself. Once it had your attention, it exploded you, rather than reception, your care and concern, it simply brought you fear and even injury. This is the nature of the humane spirit. It's negative, it enjoys inflicting pain. Right at the very beginning, you should have been intolerant of the unnatural activity. However, instead of cutting the thing off at the start, it aroused your curiosity, and that fact got noticed. Supernaturally, your next mistake was in calling a medium, and went on. Whoever functions as the media was unwittingly used as an instrument of communication by the entity. During the sitting, this inhumane spirit fed you false information. The demonic is a liar. It even been called the father of lies. Well, you were lied to by a spirit of deception, and unknowingly you believed the lie. Your worst mistake, though, was in giving the spirit the permission it needed to move into the doll. That's what it wanted, and it preyed off your ignorance of its existence to do so. Why, Laura asked. Because to really interfere in your life, the demonic has somehow got to get your permission to do so. And unfortunately, through your own free will, you gave it that permission. It was like handing a maniac a loaded gun. Then the doll is possessed, questioned Deidre. No, the doll is not possessed. Spirits don't possess things. Spirits possess people, Anne informed her. Instead, the spirit simply moved the doll around and gave it the illusion of being alive. But because you girls believed this was the spirit of a little girl, Annabelle, the appearance of reality were the same to you. In short, you left yourselves wide open, and a deceptive, negative spirit took advantage of you, with your permission, of course. This is how the phenomena was brought on. Ed paused to see if there were any further questions, but none were asked. Now, what happened to Cal earlier this week, Ed proceeded, was bound to occur sooner or later. In fact, you all stood in jeopardy of coming under possession by this spirit. This is what the thing was really after. But Cal here didn't believe in the charade, so he was an ongoing threat to the entity. One way or another, there was bound to be a showdown. And what happened? For starters, it tried to strangle Cal to death. Then that failed. It caught him with a symbolic claw mark. We've seen this claw mark in other cases. It's a telltale sign of an inhumane presence. You got up easy this time. Had the spirit been given another week or two, you might have been killed. Is this demonic spirit in the apartment now? Laura asked, petrified. Yes, I'm afraid so, Lorraine answered her. There is only one entity involved, but its behavior is completely unpredictable. The Warren's word seems to hit home. You're for real, aren't you? Deidre said incredulously. The front doorbell rang. Father Everett had arrived. The interview session ended in the kitchen as Deidre got up to answer the door. With the sun about to go down an hour, Ed was eager to have the house blessed, remove the doll, and return home. As the Warrens picked up their gear, Father Everett, whom Ed and Lorraine had never met in person, came into the kitchen. A tall, middle-aged man, the Episcopal priest, was clearly uncomfortable in his role as exorcist. Once the preliminary greetings were out of the way, Ed then told the priest that, in his judgment, the spirit that was responsible for the malicious activity was inhuman. That it was still in the apartment, and the only way it could be made to leave was through the power of the words written in the exorcism blessing. I'm not totally familiar with demonology, admitted Father Everett. How do you know such a spirit is behind the disturbance? That's where I'm going to leave off, and tomorrow night we shall continue on. So, good night, my strangelings. Until next time.